to loosen up this plate around it. Remember, it's not the metal looking bezel in the back, it's mainly this front plate. Push it in, loosen it up. There's a couple of clips around the way. You find out where they are, you'll be able to remove this. Just go around. See?
Look how they shine for you, and everything you do.
Slowly coming up.
Came along and wrote a song for you, and all the things you do.
If it's the first time you ever taking this off, it'll be a little more difficult than normal, but don't worry about it. Do the right things, you have this off. The top part already loose. There it goes. Little pull. There. You have to watch these little metal clips here. Make sure they don't come out. That's what actually holds it into the plastic. Mine almost came out. Let's put them back in. The little plastic bezel thing came off with it. That's good. So now all you have to do is move these torch screws. The 4 torch screws. These 2 screws won't be hard to take out at all. Pull them out. Try not to drop them. And the last screw. You hear that clicking noise all the way out. So I gotta do now is grab the stereo, wiggle it side to side, come bring it out, pull them backwards. And there you have it. It's coming right out. Pull this back. Note your connections. This is the antenna, and these are your electrical connections. And as you see, I added some wires to this already when I hooked my aftermarket tweeter and stereo system into this car. All I gotta do is push this pin. That comes right out. Push this pin. That comes right out. Now the antenna is a little different. You have to squeeze these together right here and pull like such. As you can see, this face right here will stay here for what we're trying to get done now. So all we got to do is hook up our electrical connections, and I'll show you best I could how that's done. Let's start with the power connectors I was showing you that was in the bag earlier. This is the GPS antenna. We'll take care of that in a minute. So all we have to do is, this is your, mine came with a CAN bus. Mine is a High World CAN bus. And all we gotta do is plug this connector into here. There's all in there. Now these two, I'm gonna plug into the car wiring. You can't get them mixed up because they're only a certain way they go on. So you hook the big one onto the big one like this. Make sure you line it up properly. There, it slides right on. And this one, line it up correctly, slide that right on. And as you can see, these wirings are made for the smart car, so that's good. This connector is going to hook up into the stereo. You'll see me doing that in a minute, as well as this connector. Okay, you can hook this up depending on your own variety of connectors and connections or whatever you plan on doing with yours. I couldn't figure out what certain things were for, and I'll tell you what I've discovered as I go. Found a good place to set this down on. This connector hooks up into right here on the stereo, aftermarket stereo. Just hook that up. sure it's properly aligned. Snap it in. Yeah, I heard it snap. This is the power to your cooling fan. Believe it or not, that connector is on one of the audio connections. Let me pull this out so we can set this here. This is the radio connector. Now that I know where that's gonna go, all we gotta do is hook this up to the antenna on here. Looks like an odd pairing, but that's where it goes. There, it snaps in. And we actually have an antenna connector on this radio. Plug that into there. There, that's in. And this is the 4G, what they call full netcon. I didn't understand what this is for, but this is for if you want to put a SIM card. I mean, for if you want to be able to get map updates while you're on the move. This is what that's for. So I'm gonna go ahead and install it, even though I think the companies are trying to do away with 4G now that everybody's going to 5G. But I'm gonna go ahead and install it. That's gonna be enough wire to run all the way over. I can play it out by ear. So what I'm gonna do is hook all this stuff up for functionality. This goes into the one that says that's marked 4G on here. So I'm gonna just take this cover off and screw this on. I can unscrew all this stuff later when I start putting stuff up. Make sure it all works good. Save some time. You want to see me have to run all these wires. I'll show the end result. Okay, that one's in. So that's the 4G antenna. Now here's another important connector we have to make. This is the one for the SIM card. And what I discovered the SIM card is for, that's actually for if you want to have service to download your app while you're in motion and things like that. The other part is just an antenna. This is the actual thing that gives you service. You don't always have to use this. I'm gonna hook it up because I don't have to go back in here again. I'm gonna go ahead and put everything in that I can. Again, I'm hooking these up to where I can pull them back out again. Now, keep this from getting confused by what goes where. These pins are actually marked by their sizes. This has a 4-pin. I got to look on here for the 4-pin connector, which is number 3 on here. Line it up and insert it. Head it upside down. Here. Next connector. As you can see, there's a good multiple connector on this one. This one has about 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, multiple. And all I got to do is line this up to the far one to the right. That's the connector is made for. And this is the one that has the SIM adapter on it. And it has all the other connections. And here's the one that mic plugs into. That's why it's important to put this in before you worry about plugging in a mic. So you make sure it's properly aligned. The clip is on top. I just push it in. Make sure it's seated all the way down. And it is. And then, next we have the microphone and the wind cover for it. So I'm not sure how much I'm going to use this, but I'm going to go ahead and install it as well. Put on that wind sock. I don't think I need it for this. And this is going to clip on my visor up here when I run it. Oh, I got plenty of wire to run this microphone. I don't know why they did this 4G antenna the way they did it. This is what we plug the mic into. This connector right here. That's the microphone. It's labeled mic. Plug that in right there. Make sure you hear snap. Also, while we're in here, that little wire I told you about on top of this receiver, actually that's going to be, yeah, it's on the top. I got this thing turned around. You hook that into here. You make sure you got it properly lined up. Slide goes where the slide goes. Just pop it in. There, it snaps in. That's the cooling fan to the stereo. The last two things we got to hook up now is the other USB connector. And this one you'll be able to hook up your iPhone to it and things like that. So this one is, this is a 6-pin. All I gotta do is look on this panel here for the 6 pins. That other one has a 6 pin also, but that's the one I was telling you you won't need. So now all I gotta do is line this up, 6 pin to 6 pin. There it is right there. Push it in. There, that's in. This one is the wire that you need for your camera input. The other one is made for a camera input too, but that's if you're not going to use the CAN bus. So all I gotta do is look on here. This is an 8-pin connector. There's your 8-pin connector right there. All I gotta do is line it up, plug it in. See, it's all plugged in. So all the plugs that I have so far are plugged in. No, they're not. There's one other plug you got to plug in from here into this. This is the 8-pin, and here's your other 8-pin adapter right here. This is number 4th coming from the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, and this thing plugs into there. Line it up, plug it in. Make sure it's properly aligned. Plug it in. Here. So one more connector. Got to make GPS antenna. What I got to do is remove this other red cord here. Cover. This is your Wi-Fi antenna here. Leave that alone. Screw your GPS antenna in here. Once I know all this stuff works, then I can start putting it all away. And you don't want to see that pain. So the instructions will show you which way to do these based on which camera you're going to do. And then all you got to do is remember, this is your long wire for your camera input. If you're going to do it one way, there's another set of wires that come with the kit that you plug it into. These 2 wires here are mainly power. How it normally runs is you're going to run an adapter to the camera. This adapter came with the wiring. The white is connected to a power source, which is typically the end of this, and this black wire is connected to a ground anywhere in the vehicle, and that way actually what powers your camera. This is the video connection that you're going to hook up on one end, and you're going to run all this all the way up to, in this case, since I'm using the CAN bus, it's going to be this connector right here. So all we got to do now is power this up, see how it works. I'm just going to set this up here. I turn it around the correct way. And I'm not trying to hook this up or anything. Put this in. See, there's connectors here on both sides that's going to hook into the connectors on the car. I don't want to push that in yet because I don't want to fight with it to get it back out again. So what we're going to do is set this up here best way we can and give it a try. There, it's up there for now. Let's see how that works. All I gotta do is power it up. Then I can show y'all a little bit of running the wires, but you don't want to hear about all that for the sake of keeping this video shorter. See, it's gonna be a perfect fit once it goes on there. You won't be able to see all those wires. Oh, there it goes. Wow, it's working. Now your camera's booted up, and now we're looking at this thing come to show Google. There, we got it in and it works. I'm gonna show you all the programming stuff later on, but I'm going to have to set this aside so I can finish doing what I'm doing. Looks good so far, folks. Now that I made all my connection, ran all the wires through, connected my audio visual cable. Now all I gotta do is line this up with the connectors on the side and pop it in. There's plenty of room behind there for the wires to go into. Make sure you line it up properly. And push it in. Left side in. Because of that clamp that came off, I really had to squeeze a little harder. I got it in. It looks like an actual fit. What I gotta do now is take off the little plastic coating